Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we're looking at a couple of HD pickup trucks. Here on my left is the 2021 Chevy Silverado 2500. Now for 21, this truck has received a host of upgrades. But rather than look at it by itself, we've brought along my dad's 2019 Ram 2500 because we want to compare. And hey, since 19, there's been no major updates here. So this truck is still basically the same as what you can buy today. Like I said, I want to compare them. So in this video, we're going to hook up a 10,000 pound trailer. We'll test all the fancy new trailering technology on the Chevy and see if it's actually enough to make it better than this Ram. Start by looking at the numbers here on this 2019 Ram 2500. So this Cummins engine that you see right here makes 370 horsepower and 850 pound-feet of torque sent through a 6-speed automatic. Now those numbers haven't changed for 2021. What has changed, if you go for the 3500 high output version, this same power plant will make 1,075 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty unbelievable. But no, we just have the low output 850 pound-feet version here. So the truck you're looking at here, this is a Bighorn 2500 with the Midnight Edition package. And unlike the Chevy, which has chrome everywhere, this truck doesn't have any chrome on it. So very much a different style. To my eyeballs, the Ram looks better. I prefer this one. Of course, that's very subjective, so I'd like to hear from you. Which truck do you think just looks better straight up from a styling point of view? So they both also have 20-inch wheels, and what I think is interesting is for some reason the chrome wheels on the Chevy just look bigger than the blacked out wheels here on the Ram, at least to me. Now one other major point I want to make as we roll to the rear end of these trucks is that here on the Ram Heavy Duty we have coil springs in the rear end. This is a 5-link suspension. There are no leaf springs back here, and that is really going to change how this truck rides and handles, especially with weight. And the Chevy over there still has leaf springs, so I'm very curious to get them out there and see how that feels in the real world. Now let's take a look at the Chevy. So this 2500 has a 6.6 liter Duramax diesel. This engine makes 445 horsepower and 910 pound-feet of torque sent through a 10-speed automatic. So it does make more power than the Ram, and it has more gears. Again, will be interesting to feel the real world differences. Now when Chevy got up to these numbers, one of the interesting things they added was an actual hood scoop, a functional hood scoop. And you can see the air comes in, it's routed, and here's the interesting thing, it goes around a corner right here. Now that is there so that any moisture or snow, debris, it's all gonna get left behind in this corner, and there's a little open valve here so it can just slowly drip out. Plus if you ever need to open that up and get in there and clean it out, you can. But it's just an interesting bit of engineering there for sure. So the truck you're looking at here is a high country. This thing is top of the line, and it doesn't lack the chrome to show it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's up to you whether you like chrome or not. I think this is a little bit too much chrome for me, but hey, if this is your thing, it's a nice looking truck. Now, as we roll back, there's a couple things I got to point out. First thing are the mirrors. These are the tow mirrors on the HD. They're monstrous. They're huge. I like them when you're towing. I don't like them when you're not. Ram has their solution where they flip up. Definitely a different philosophy here. And once again, we'll see when we get out there what the real differences are. Now again, we roll back here. I love this. On its HD, Chevy puts in this little mid-step right here that's going to allow me to actually get up here and access things in the bed. On the half tons, they've done the thing where the step kind of moves backwards. I think that's a little overcomplicated. That's a really simple solution. And we're going to talk about steps again because at the back, of course, this truck has the really smart bumper corner steps. Now I'll show you why this is so smart. On the Ram that my dad owns, there's no good step solution. Mopar will sell you a step, but it's not very big. So Dad went to the aftermarket like a lot of truck owners do, and he installed this step. It's basically a little ladder that flips down. Now I think it's a smart solution. It works really well, but if he had bought a Chevy that had this bumper step, you straight up would not need to go to the aftermarket. So again, I think when the OEM solution can be so smart that you do not need to change it, that's always the best, and that's why these steps are just so dang good. Now let's talk towing and payload numbers. So here on Dad's 2019 Ram 2500, we are good for a max tow of 19,110 pounds, and the payload number as shown by the door jamb sticker is 2,110 pounds. Here on the Chevy, we can check out the handy dandy sticker that GM puts on all of its trucks and SUVs. I say this a ton, I'm gonna say it again. This is the best solution in the industry because it's a sticker that deals with your VIN, your specific vehicle, no guessing on trims and weights and none of that stuff. There's the sticker, there are the weights, I love that. So the towing number here, 18,500 pounds, slightly lower than the Ram, but the big number with this Chevy is the payload. As told by the sticker, 2,979 pounds. Okay folks, so now we're gonna hook up a trailer here to our Chevy, and for 2021, there's been a whole bunch of towing features added to the Chevy HD that we have to go over. We'll start by looking at the cameras. So this is your main view, top down and a rear. You can get a top down and a front. You can get that zoom in on your front or your rear. This is always a cool thing that GM does, this weird 3D view. And when you're backing in with stuff around you, it can be kind of helpful. There's down the sides of the truck, plus the front view, that's looking forwards. Though this is their split view, so you can have, you get rid of that top-down view if you want to. And then these are your different guidelines. Now, you'll see there are two blank buttons here. That's for the accessory camera. You can put one on your trailer and one in your trailer. That's pretty neat. This is your hitch zoom view, and then new for 21 is this bed cargo view, which not only allows you to see what's in your bed, but if you were hooking up a fifth wheel hitch, you could hit plus here, and that'll zoom in right on your fifth wheel so you can drop that kingpin. So yeah, there's a ton of different views here in this Chevy. Now I gotta try to get back to the one I want. We'll go for this rear view. And we are going to tow 10,000 pounds today to try to put these HDs to work. And boom! Didn't even need to zoom in. Love it. And now folks, here we are towing in the Silverado HD. We've got our 10,000 pounds on the back. Now before we talk about what that feels like, I want to go over some of the things that are new for 2021, and Chevy really focused on towing for this year. There is a rear camera mirror which has been added for 2021. That's always handy, and actually less so for towing, but very handy for hauling payload because sometimes you have things back there blocking your glass, but they're not going to block the camera, so that is handy. Now the other thing they did, which I think is cool, jackknife alert. Pretty self-explanatory. If you're in a parking lot and you're about to jackknife, the truck will let you know, and we put that one to the test so you can see it working. Okay, let's see how this works. So if Dad was to be a bad trailer driver and jackknife, oh, there it is. So first of all, it says it up there, and did you feel it in your butt?
I did. It
vibrates the seat,
yeah.
right?
Of course, the scary thing is that I can go further.
Yeah, you can a little bit. I mean, yeah, and if you do have eyeballs, you should be able to see when it's going to jackknife. But you know what? Any safety thing like this in my books is always a good thing.
Yeah,
why not?
It's
right?
true, because you put dents in your bumper otherwise.
Yeah, we've never done that though, right?
not with my own truck.
And finally, there is a trailer length indicator. So essentially the truck will see how long your trailer is, and then if you're going to change lanes, if it sees a car back there, it's going to let you know it. What's interesting though, Ram has that technology as well. In the Ram, you simply have to make a right and then a left turn, and it reads the trailer length by itself. Here in the Chevy, it's still old school. I had to get out the tape measure. I had to measure, I think it's about 6 different metrics, so it understands exactly how long your trailer is and how it will react. Not a big deal because you only set it once and then you forget it forever, but just something to note. Other manufacturers have auto systems. It's not automatic here in the Chevy. And finally, we get down to the nuts and the bolts of it. We got 10,000 pounds on, and like I mentioned, this truck, the tow rating here is 18,000 pounds, so, we're not really pushing it up to max, but 10 grand is more than we want on a half ton. So, Dad, what do you feel?
I wish I had more weight.
Okay.
We got a bigger trailer. We just got to get it roadworthy. We can get up to, we figure that one's good for about 16,000 pounds.
Truth is, yeah, max weight on this trailer is 10,000 pounds, so we can't put more on the trailer.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. I mean, this trailer just, that's the most we can do. We do have an equipment float now, but it needs to be rewired, but we'll get to that. But I can certainly tell you that at 10,000 pounds, this vehicle feels very roadworthy. The dog, or I should say, the tail is definitely not wagging the dog. The truck is leading the parade. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And the Duramax, wow, powerful diesel. Mm-hmm. If anything, I keep speeding. I don't know if you were watching while we were just coming down this section here, but I keep having to back off. Every time I look down, I go, no, oh, too fast. I have to keep getting out of it. So it is certainly up to the task.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it, stacks up next to your Ram, especially because you've driven your Ram so much and towed with it, so you have a really good sense for it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, just to that point, the only thing that's really coming through to me is it's a little harsher in the back end than I know that my truck is. In other words, I can feel it in my butt.
Yeah.
And I put that down to the leaf spring suspension.
Totally.
I do want to mention while I'm thinking about it, is because I'm looking at it right now, is the head-up display. GM has been big in that area for a couple of years now, whereas it's not in my Ram. And I love the head-up display. And these ones now, they keep putting more and more information. And one time, basically, it was just your speed. Now, if you've got the cruise on, that's there. It's showing how far you're set for lane departure and distances to following cars.
Navigation is always handy too. If you have something in your nav and it's telling you when to turn, I love that.
Yeah, the information and the turns come up there as well. So lots of good information, and you never have to take your eyes off the road. It's a good system.
Head up is great.
I see everybody following that, and I mean, Ram finally has it this year, but hasn't migrated into their HDs yet.
Mm-hmm. All right, we just pulled in from our little fuel economy loop here in the Silverado. Bam! 15.1 miles per gallon, over 24.4 miles. Today we're starting with MPG, not liters per 100 like normal, but we can switch over the units too to metric. And boom, 15.6 liters per 100 over just about 40 kilometers. And now it's time for the big challenge, folks. 0 to 60 here in the Silverado HD. She's in tow haul mode. And oh, come on. Ready for the race. Hit it. There it is. Okay, that was a 15.4 0 to 100 kilometer an hour time. And I gotta say, from over here, it definitely shifts a lot because it's got 10 gears, but the shifts were pretty smooth. Now, we're not gonna throw up the leaderboard just yet. We'll hop over in the Ram, we'll do our test there, and then you can see how it stacks up against all the other trucks we've tested. And now time to hook up the Ram, and you can take a look at the camera system, and yes, Dad's Ram does have a beeper, you can hear it. So everyone knows when he's backing up.
Get out of my way!
So this is your top view and your rear view, and then you have just your wide rear view, a front view, front and a top, and then your two hitching views, which is interesting. You want this one? Yeah, you want that one. So, I mean, in comparison to the Chev, I would say there's just as many camera angles here. My only ever complaint about the Ram is you have a 12-inch screen. Why doesn't the camera use the whole screen?
Yeah, because it seems to be like it was programmed for the old 8-inch, and that's what they left it with.
Exactly, right? Oh, I guess we don't have a hitch in yet. That's probably important.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go hook her up. Okay, now we're here on the road with the Ram 2500, and you know what? It does feel smoother than the Chevy. It's not a huge difference, but in the Chevy, everything, all the hits, all the bumps, they felt really hard, really rigid. To me here in the Ram, everything feels very soft and rounded and smoothed out. The rear end just doesn't chatter at all. So overall, you know, it seems like a kind of a calmer, easier driving experience. I will give it that. But of course, that's from the passenger seat. Dad, you do have 4 fewer gears here. You got a 6-speed, that truck's got a 10-speed, and you got less power. So talk to me about the powertrain and what you're feeling.
I can feel it. Here, the gear, obviously the gears are longer. The other thing that happens is that it would rather hold the gear than hunt for a gear in my transmission. So you get these kind of like bald spots in between there where you get your foot on the accelerator, but you're not really going anywhere because it actually needs more input now. So minor difference.
Sure.
And as I had said earlier, just to finish that thought, yes, this is softer when it comes to the back end.
Yeah. So actually what I think the big trade-off is, if we're looking at what's going on in the back end, is we have a nicer ride here in the Ram, and this is going to be multiplied without the trailer, right? With no weight on, if we're just driving empty, the 2500 is going to be more comfortable, period. No doubt about it, here in the Ram. However, Dad, the Chevy has almost 3,000 pounds of payload. You only got 21. And I believe that what's going on back there with your coil springs versus leafs is a big reason for that. So what I think that, yeah, there's a trade-off, right? You're getting the more comfortable driving experience, but you can carry less weight. So I think what it comes down to there is, yeah, just know what you're gonna do with your truck, and if you have a specific towing job in mind, like a 5th wheel travel trailer or something, make sure you check your weights. Towing along here, Dad, talk to me about the mirrors. Do you like one set of mirrors more than another? I think the Chevy mirrors are cool because they're also powered, so you can get them out wide, and they're huge, but they're big, right? You don't always need a mirror that big. The Ram solution, this is much more normal, and then you flip it up, but when it's flipped up, it's not quite as big. So, I don't know, like I said, what do you feel?
I like these because A, they're mechanical. B, the other thing when you flip them up is you're actually getting a very tall view.
True.
Reminds me of what we used to call West Coast mirrors back in the day. We're very tall and long.
Gotcha.
Because with the flat deck here, it doesn't matter. But when you get into a tall travel trailer, you really want to be able to see up, because so many people forget about branches, wires, and that's where you get in trouble. So that's a good thing. I like my setup.
And here's the fuel economy in the Ram 2500. Once it focuses, boom, 14.6 mpg over about 25 miles. And that's just a little bit worse than what we got in the Chevy. Honestly, pretty negligible difference. It's 16.1 liters per 100. And yeah, I guess it's a little surprising because this truck doesn't have as much power, but you don't have as many gears. So that makes sense.
And that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, folks, time for 0 to 60 here in the Ram. We've got our 10,000 pounds on. Let's see how she stacks up. It's also in tow haul mode.
Got it?
Hit it. Go, baby, go. Definitely less shifting going on, longer gears. Yeah, so that was a 17.6, 0 to 100, and it felt it. It felt a little slower than the Chevy.
It did. It absolutely did. And you know what? And if it hadn't have been slower, then I would question the other number we got. Because let's face it, there's a lot of jam in that Duramax.
No doubt. And we're getting to our last point here, Dad, pricing. So the Chevy that you are looking at here today in this video has an MSRP of $99,000 Canadian. This Ram The build sheet MSRP on it was about $86,000. So it is considerably less expensive here in the Ram than over in the Chevy. And that should be the case. This is only a bighorn. This Ram is only one step up from base. The Chevy's a high country. It's fully loaded.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. Is I mean, it's not really apples to apples, because quite honestly, if you want to get into like a limited Ram, you'll hit that $100,000 mark too.
Totally. But here's the sad part, Dad. This bighorn interior, I don't think it's any less nice than the high country interior. You know, you're paying for that luxury truck over there. You should be getting a really nice interior. This interior in the Ram is already really nice. Plus you have the massive screen in the middle, which is really, really cool. Chevy's been failing at the interior game for years now. We keep on harping on them.
Yeah,
and it's just apparent when you get into a cheaper Ram and it's just as nice. Okay, folks, we're coming to the end of this video. Now, if you're asking my opinion, well, both of these trucks do a lot of things right. I think this Chevy offers those big numbers, especially that payload number. That's hard to argue with. The Ram, though, is a little smoother day to day. However, in this video, my opinion only matters so much. We need to talk to Dad because he's got real skin in the game. So, Dad, after driving the Chev, any buyer's remorse?
Wrong word, Steve, because I bought this a year and a half ago, and you can't future think what you're going to do.
Fair.
So I bought the best truck that I thought at the time. However, so first things first, looking at the arithmetic, the Chevy's very impressive with its payload number, and there's no doubt that the Duramax hauls better than this truck. That's the simple arithmetic. In addition to which, it has a slight edge in fuel economy. So everything about that I like. Back to my truck. Now we'll talk about these things, the intangibles, the ones that catch you there. I love my interior. I'm sorry, Chevy, at this moment, there's nothing about your interior that really does it for me. The interior in this truck, I like. I like the look of my truck. And so I don't want to take anything away from the Chev, but yeah, I'm still very much in love with my Ram.
Well, fair enough. And you know what? As new heavy duties roll in, this Ram is going to become our de facto comparable truck. So we'll see how it stacks up as the years go by. And you know what, folks? That's it for this one. So make sure you go below, leave us that comment, hit like, hit subscribe, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next.
See ya.